We've got the Arrma Senton 4x4 223S BLX V4, and it's time to do the full review of this 1/10 scale electric short course truck. It's about to be released, so you can pre-order that now. I'll have a link in the description below, but of course, pick it up from wherever you want. It is around the corner from being released, probably available at the time you watch this video. But the way this review works is we're going to go through 6 different categories, giving a rating from 1 to 5 stars in those 6 categories, and it's graded on a curve. So competitors, the Senton 4x4, give things like the Slash 4x4 VXL. I've had several of those. The Team Associated Pro 4 SC10. Maybe stuff from like Habao or some other manufacturers, but the way the ratings work is we give it a rating from 1 to 5 stars. So 3 stars would be average within this class. That means among those other vehicles is about typical from what you find. 5 stars would be best in class, substantially better than some other truck in that category, and 1 star would obviously be worst in class. So yeah, let's get into the review. So this is a follow-on to the V3, which I actually have a comparison between this and that truck in the unboxing and first run video. But we're going to pull off the body, which is a little bit more difficult than before because it has this massive internal roll cage. One of the biggest changes is that they add a lot of bracing, makes it much more durable. It does have these quick release little body tabs and then a little front bumper here that hooks into the grill and then makes it, sort of mounted or hinged there in the front. Makes it a little bit more difficult to pull off, I will say that, but it definitely adds a lot more durability, and we'll talk about more in the durability category. But this is what the truck actually looks like. Plastic tub chassis, LCG chassis as well, 2 Velcro battery straps. Does come with all new electronics. So this is a 2-in-1 80 amp ESC receiver. ESC are all combined in one unit. It does have a new motor, 36 by 60, 3100 kV motor, new fan and heat sink, new center differential. So again, another big change from the previous generation. The old one had a slipper clutch. A lot of people like the center differential there. Definitely makes it handle a little bit better, more tunable. It does have the massive side guards here on the side, so that integrates into the body, the roll cage and all that. So basically it protects this whole chassis from any dirt and stuff. You will get dust inside, but any big rocks or twigs or whatever are not going to be in there and fouling up like the center shaft or the steering rack as you typically might have in the past. Also prevents a little less dirt from getting into the power module, which is nice. It does have a steel spur gear as well. Steel input gears here on the differential, so the ring gears are now plastic as before, but the steel input gears are a new update. Turnbuckles now have hollow balls on them. Arms are slightly redesigned to allow you to mount sway bars. Front and rear bumpers are massively redesigned. Shock towers are slightly different, a little bit wider, a little bit lower. Just to give you, I think, a little bit better handling characteristics. The shocks work a little bit better in my opinion. The shocks are slightly redesigned, different colors, and then the center shaft has been beefed up a little bit. So yeah, those are a big quick overview of the design changes. Radio is also different. It is the SLT3 that they had before, but does now have this orange button. So they added DSC or dynamic stability control to this truck. So there are 4 levels stability control, 3 levels plus an offsetting, and it is adjustable on the fly through that radio. So that's a quick overlook of the truck. In terms of the electronics, this radio I think is an improvement. It does have the DSC, which I did test. It definitely does help the truck actually drive, even 4-wheel drive on loose dirt. Makes it easier to keep it straight, keep it pointed where you want to go. I think they lost the endpoint adjustment on that radio, so that was one of the things I really liked about the old SLT3. I couldn't find any way to adjust that in the old way. Didn't seem to work, so that might be the only downside, but pretty good radio overall for an RTR. I think it's excellent. The servo is all new. S662 servo, so it is upgradable up to 8.4 volts. So out of the box, I think this is running at 6 volts, but if you change the ESC, have a different BEC and output more voltage, you'll get more torque, more speed. It is 25 tooths, metal geared, and waterproof, which is nice. So servo, I think, is an upgrade. The old one was 23 tooth. I think it was a brass metal actually in the internal gears as well. ESC is now 80 amps instead of 100 amps, so it does have the integrated receiver that works with the SLT3. The old one, I think, had the SR315 receiver, which was a combo 2-in-1 protocol. I did kind of like the old one because for sure the old ESC had a lot of adjustments. I don't think you can make any of the adjustments, like punch or brake or anything like that's on this new unit. It is more of a basic unit with that receiver. but it does seem actually pretty fast. So I did test this speed wise. This thing got up to 45 miles per hour, not quite the 50 miles per hour that they claim. You know, maybe if I tune the diffs a little bit better, reshin them, maybe raise the body to prevent any sort of tire drag, I might be able to get a little bit more, maybe a little bit battery. But yeah, I think it's somewhere in that 45 plus mile per hour range. The motor doesn't seem much different than before. Didn't really notice any difference. It is 100 kV lower, so a little bit lower RPMs that you might get per voltage, but the fan is bigger, heatsink is bigger, so it is pretty good overall. I do think this is still the fastest electronics you can get in a ready-to-run 3S short course truck. So 45 miles per hour is a little bit quicker than the Pro 4 SC10, which I think is closer to like 40 or low 40s. The Traxxas VXL system, I think it's up to the upper 30s. So this, I think, is still the fastest short course truck, even though maybe the ESC 2-in-1 combination a lot of people are not going to like, because, you know, if you change the ESC, you will have to change the receiver at the same time. But this is still faster, was definitely one of the best out there. And I think the radio is also one of the best. Stability control, adjustable on the fly, and I think the performance of that is a little bit better actually than most of the other radios like the Pro 4 SC10 has. So overall electronics category, I'm gonna give it 4 stars. You know, I think like most people, I would have preferred a two separate ESC and receiver combination. I did like that old SR315 that they used to provide, but you know, they only raised the price of this thing $10. And talking about all the other upgrades that they made, I think that's kind of the area where they try to reduce some of the cost and keep it down in that $340 range. So overall electronics wise, 4 stars out of 5. Now design-wise, I think most of the changes are to really address 2 things. One is the durability, so we'll talk more about that, the roll cage, the massive bumpers, how everything's kind of tied together, the additional higher side guards here to prevent dirt and stuff from getting in. I think they also try to address the performance with the center differential, the retuned shocks, the readjusted shock towers to get the shock angle a little bit more accurate. I think it drives quite well. Other things they tried to do is improve the durability on the input gears here in the differentials. That was one area that could wear out. The ring gears will still eventually wear out and you will have to replace them, but they're like $9, so not a massive deal. They also added sway bar mounts, so I think you can get optional sway bars to improve the handling characteristics as well. So those are kind of the 2 main areas I think they try to address. Get to drive a little bit better, a little bit easier to drive as well with the dynamic stability control, and then it's a lot more durable. So design-wise, I'm going to give it 4 stars. The only areas I would say, you know, they didn't really improve is just removing the center drive shaft. Still fairly difficult. Removing the center drive power module here is a little bit easier than before, but still not easy. Some of the other vehicles out there I think are still a little bit easier to maintain. They do have the 14mm hexes, which I think is a wash, adds durability, but a little bit less sort of aftermarket options for wheels and tires combination. So overall, yeah, I think the design is very good. I'm gonna get 4 stars out of 5. A couple little things I would have, you know, still always like to see is more adjustments on the shock tower mounting locations for the shocks, camber link mounting locations. They didn't really improve any of that. It's all really more for durability, not really exactly a race truck, but yeah, those are the kind of things I would say keep it from getting a 5-star rating. But overall, it's definitely above average. One of the best designs out there. I'm gonna get 4 stars out of 5. Now, the big question everyone had was, did this thing lose any speed from the old one? So I think the old Senton was kind of in the mid to high 40s. This one, I got 45 miles per hour, maybe with a different battery or some slight tuning of the diffs. I might be able to get a little bit quicker. I did actually modify the center diff oils a little bit. It comes with, I think, 500K. They don't actually specify, but if I were to guess, I'm guessing it's 500K like they use in the 4S trucks, and it's quite stiff, so I actually lowered it down to close to like 200K, kind of mixing it with some 100K. So yeah, those are some differences I made, but performance-wise, I still think this is best in class. Steers well with the DSC, definitely easy to control. Even with the DSC on, this makes sharp corners. The tires have tons of traction. Center differential definitely makes the drive a little more fluid. And the stability control helps keep it straight. Faster. So fastest RC car. Some of the handling characteristics. You know, the Slash I think actually does drive quite well. The Pro 4 SC10 It is tunable. Maybe it doesn't drive quite as well out of the box, especially with the tires that come stock with. But with the grippy tires, center diff, the pretty good steering on this thing, I think it's definitely above average. I'm actually going to give it 5 stars in the performance category. It is the fastest, handles quite well. I think the LCG chassis also helps keep the weight lower. It doesn't roll quite as much. Shock tuning is always excellent on Arrma cars. They get it right. They did change the shock oils a little bit from the previous one. It used to be 500 CST, which is about 40 weight oil back in front, but now they're going 700 CST and 500 in the rear, which is closer to like 55, 40. So that's what I'm running. You could probably go up a little bit on shock oils, especially in the rear. I think maybe you want to run 700, 600 CST. I think it would drive a little better if you're doing huge jumps, but performance-wise, this thing is excellent. Doesn't fly through the air particularly well, but no short course truck does. The Mojave, I think, has a little bit of advantage on the 4S and even the little Grom and the 6S, where I think they fly a little better than traditional short course trucks because they have the cutouts for the body or where the drivers and stuff sit. But yeah, for sure, out of the 10 scale short course truck class, I think this is the best. It is fastest, handles well, shocks are tuned perfectly, 5 stars in performance. Now the biggest and most notable change is just the ridiculous amount of bracing they add to the body. So all this stuff integrates into the body mounts, into the front bumper. The rear of the truck actually rests on top of this rear bumper, so they made it pretty massive here in the back. So anytime you slam on the back, even if you're landing on the body, it's actually just pressing up against the bumper where that's helped support it, prevents it from cracking. And I had many really bad crashes on this truck, landing it wrong pretty much any way you could conceive of, on the rear bumper, upside down, on the front bumper, even bouncing off the ground, flipping over, rolling over. Lots of ways I've crashed this truck. And the crazy thing is, I didn't crack the body at all. There's almost no damage to this body. Typically it cracks here in the back or maybe here around the fenders, but there are no cracks in this thing basically at all. You know, there's a slight thing there, but I don't even think it's cracked through. I think it's more just wear there in the paint. There's maybe 2 millimeters of cracking right there on the back, but considering how much crashing I was doing from like super high jumps, I managed to jump this thing at least 15, 20 feet high, and landing it wrong many times. I'm just amazed that the body has taken basically no damage. It does dent, I will say that. So you can see in the front here, I've dented the body. I think I've got one here. I did have to pop things out, but they didn't crack. So to me, this is the most durable RC short course truck you can buy. For sure in the 10 scale class. In addition to the body, I've broken nothing on the truck itself, so bumpers, suspension arms, shocks, everything. I think the shocks stay a little bit more durable because the whole thing's enclosed, so you're not landing like directly on the tire like you might typically on some other cars, like a you know, stadium truck or buggy or something like that, so you can't hyperextend the shocks quite as easily. But yeah, this is super durable. This is going to be the best choice in my opinion. I'm going to get 5 stars in the durability category. Nothing on this thing has broken, no issues. I think also the side guards help prevent rocks and stuff from getting within the chassis and tearing up your center shaft, which could happen in the old one, or jamming up your steering, which could happen in the old one, but that's pretty much been eliminated now. This is an extremely durable truck. Nothing has broken. 5 stars in the durability category. I don't think you can get anything more durable. This platform's been around for years, probably like, I don't know, 7 years or so at this point. So pretty much all hobby shops are going to carry parts for this. Things tend to be backwards compatible as well. So shock parts or wheels, tires, arms and stuff like that are going to generally be backwards compatible. Obviously there's a lot that's new on this truck, but Arrma for the most part is pretty good about keeping stocks available for you if you want to fix things the same day. Now they also have the most generous warranty. It is 2 years, so if you have any sort of manufacturing defect, they tend to work with you fairly easily as long as you have a receipt and, you know, photos of what actually broke. So I think they're best in class there. I'm going to give 4 stars. Really the only thing I would say in support and maintenance categories is a little bit trickier to work on this. Some of the edges of these things are a little bit sharp, so you can definitely, you know, cut your hands and fingers and stuff just removing things. Power module still a bit difficult to remove. I think on some of my 4S cars, this back tab was actually broken and didn't really seem to affect the performance or the way it drives. So I don't know. I'm not sure I'm going to cut this off, but it does seem somewhat optional because it is now bolted in with a couple of bolts underneath. So overall, maintenance may be a little bit trickier to work on this than some other cars, but for sure, short maintenance is above average. I'm going to get 4 stars there. It's definitely one of the better ones you can get. The Arrma Senton 4x4 223S BLX V4 sells for $339.99 here at the time of this video in the US. That's pretty much the same as the team associated. That's the Pro 4 SE10 is also the same price. The Traxxas 4x4 VXL is more at $399 for the basic one. If you go up to the Ultimate, it's like over $500. So obviously more expensive. I think considering what you get, it's actually a pretty good value. A lot of reinforcements, a lot of durability built in this thing. The stability control, again, I think is unusual for this class. I think the Traxxas also has TSM at this point, but that's a pretty good radio. Power system, I think, is definitely above average. I don't believe the Team Associate is programmable on the ESC, just like this one. The Traxxas is definitely not programmable. So ESC wise, power wise, this is best in class. The motor, I think, is the fastest. So all the power system stuff I think is best in class. Servo, again, I think is also best in class. It's not particularly fast out of the box. I think it's 0.17 seconds, but if you upgrade your ESC or run external BEC or something like that, you can definitely get more speed and torque out of that. And at 440 ounce inches, it's definitely above average. So considering what you get, the all steel turnbuckles all the way around, they are adjustable. The center differential, they're pretty good electronics. The very excellent tires. Metal hexes on the hub. So overall, I think this is a pretty good value. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I wish they were able to somehow squeeze in, you know, a separate ESC and receiver like they had in the V3. That would have been the one to give it 5 stars. But overall, I think value-wise, you're definitely getting what you pay for and a little bit more. So final thoughts on the Senton 4x4 223S BLX. So 223S actually means it's 2 or 3S capable. Excellent truck. I think all the changes they made bring this durability up to the next level. This is the most durable short course truck I think you can get. I haven't broken anything, not even the body, which is the most amazing thing. The Mojave 4S is super durable, but you eventually crack the body on the thing. The Max Flash is super durable, but again, the body I think breaks, cracks somewhat more easily than this truck. So if you want the most durable short course truck, this is it. If you want the fastest short course truck, I think this is it. I think value-wise, it's a pretty good deal. Support and maintenance is very good. Pretty much across the board, this is getting 4 or 5 stars in every category. It's not necessarily the easiest to work on, and I think probably the one area that's always been a little bit troublesome with this, but I do have videos on how to take this apart, even including like a chassis swap. So I do have information out there if you want to know how to work on these things. But great truck. Really can't fault anything. You know, I might take the power system out of the old one and throw it in here. We'll see. I'm not sure it's really going to make it any faster. Speed-wise, I know people are concerned. I don't think this is really any slower than before. So excellent product that Arrma has brought out. Some people noticed, I think is on the website, that they had a picture of this next to a Typhon 223S BLX as well as a Vortex 223S BLX. I'd be shocked if they didn't update more in this line, because it seems like they're going for some improvements. They're maybe overhauling the line. We'll have to see. The center differential is definitely a welcome change that a lot of people are asking for. But the thing that was shocking about the Senton 4x4 is that they improve the durability tremendously. The number one issue with short course trucks is that the bodies tend to break, right? They cover like 50% of the car. Anything above the tires is covered by fully enclosed fenders. The body tends to take a lot of abuse when you're crashing, and they somehow made it more durable. They made those bodies almost like unbreakable in my experience. So that's really, I think, kind of the coolest thing about this truck. No real downsides either. You know, maybe if you want to upgrade your power system, you could do that, but that's pretty much the only thing I've heard anyone sort of say they don't like about the new one. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it. If you're going to pick one of these up, don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe buttons. Look forward to you soon. Thanks for watching.